Infernocus, a Decepticon that appeared in Transformers The Last Night. A Decepticon who has such an important role that all he ever did was stand around and look cool, which seems to be a trend for most of the Decepticons that appear in the Transformers movies. I love the idea of a Decepticon combiner based on like demons and stuff. That's such an unbelievably cool idea. But like most of the Last Night characters, Infernocus got shafted and really didn't do much in the film itself. Also, Infernocus' design, it's kinda bland. He's this big, gray, protoform looking guy with some big guns and some horns and a different head, and that's about it really. It's not that interesting. And you'll be forgiven for thinking that these guys are just a new type of protoforms and not a combiner team. In this video, I thought it could be fun to do a redesign of Infernocus and the Infernocons. I will be changing the Infernocons as individuals and at the end make Infernocus look different. I got inspired to do this video because of projectSNT, because she did a couple of videos redesigning a couple of Sonic characters. Most famously, she redesigned Sonichu and Rosechu, two of the most infamous original characters out there. And I think she did a pretty good job at the end. So I thought it could be fun to give this a try with Transformers, because that's like the main reason a lot of you guys watch me. And I've been pretty vocal in the past to my disdain for some of the Transformers movie designs. I like a lot of them, but at the same time there's a lot of them, especially for the Decepticons, that I just really don't like. While Infernocus is not one that I dislike, he's one of the most bland looking Decepticons in the Michael Bay franchise. So I decided to start with him. I'm gonna make separate videos for all the Infernocons. I'm gonna gather some ideas from you guys. You guys can like comment down below and give me some ideas as to how should I redesign them. I'm gonna give the Infernocons a new theme, new looks, new concepts, make them all very distinct, and overall change the final look for Infernocus. Make him look more interesting. In my opinion, some of the most famous combiners would be Bruticus, Volcanicus, Superion, Defensor, and what makes these guys unique is that not only is the combiner pretty cool looking, but there's a clear theme and concept behind each one of the combiner teams. For the Combaticons, it's of course military vehicles. For Volcanicus, it's of course dinosaurs. And for Superion, it's of course flying vehicles. The Infernocons don't really have a set theme, they're kind of just protoforms with demon heads. So for my redesign, I decided to make the Infernocons based on the 7 deadly sins. This is gonna give each Infernocon a different personality, because in my opinion, the combiner team that makes up the combiner should also stand out in their own right. Each of the Combaticons stands out pretty well, so do the Dinobots. So by basing the Infernocons of the 7 deadly sins, it gets me more to work with, and I can get each individual Infernocon a distinct personality and a distinct trait that makes them stand out. Since the Infernocons are basically demons, I decided that for their old modes, they should have beast modes. For example, their beast modes will be based off ancient real-life beast mythology. Because Quintessa created the Knight, which turned into a dragon. She created Dinobot supposedly, so she has a thing for her creations to look beastly or to have like, ancient, real-life influence. So I think it would be pretty cool if each of the Infernocons transforms into different beasts from like Greek mythology, Persian mythology, or whatever. Now, since I'm basing them off the 7 deadly sins, this means that I'm gonna have to do a controversial move and add 2 more Infernocons, just to be consistent with the theme. The problem is that this is gonna be a little hard for me because, a 7-man combiner team is pretty unheard of, but I think it's possible and keeps the team consistent. So my plan is to basically have your standard, right arm, left arm, right leg, right arm, and then have another Infernocon form the chest, have another one form the head, and maybe we could have the 7th member be like a sword or a weapon for like Infernocus to use. I'm still not entirely sure how I'm gonna pull it off, so if you guys have any ideas that you guys want to share out, tell me in the comments down below, and I'll maybe implement it onto the Infernocus redesign, and I'll share your comments in a future video. So for the first redesign, I wanted to work on something simple, so I decided to focus on Infernocus's right arm for this first video. So the Infernocon that's gonna make up the right arm is gonna be based on the deadly sin of wrath. So he's gonna be a pretty angry character and maybe kind of mindless, because when you're angry you often don't think straight. Until you have a SNICKERS, that is. So first I started with the beast mode, so I can get an idea as to how this Infernocon should look. I decided to base the beast mode on the Greek legend of the Cerberus, which is this beast that guards the gates of hell. And it's basically the personal guard dog of the god of death, Hades. Which I think it's fitting considering that Princessa has an ignition chamber and she's probably gonna want a guard dog to protect it at all times. So I thought this concept made a lot of sense, especially for the sin of wrath. So I made a rough sketch, then I started adding more detail to that sketch by enhancing some of the proportions and drawing a bit more detail in some parts. As you guys are watching this, you can probably see that I kept erasing some parts or redoing some parts over and over, and that's because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So if I see something I don't like, I'm gonna delete it like 40 times until I'm like, yes, now it's good. It's a bad habit that I have, and I bet you guys won't mind if there's like a single bent line in this final drawing, which is something that I'm sort of trying to get over. I had a lot of fun doing the heads for the Cerberus just cause, you know, I had to find a way to make them more robotic, because at the end of the day I'm basically trying to create a robotic version of, you know, Cerberus. I had a few references even there to like help me out with some of the details or like what to add, because I don't really usually draw animals. Like I find that to be a bit difficult, but I think I did a good job for this one, even though this technically is a robotic three-headed dog. Something that you'll notice is that I started adding spots to some of the razor lines that he has around his limbs and on his spine, and that's because I thought it would be a really cool idea if, since this guy is based on the concept of wrath, how about if when he gets angry, fire just comes from his little holes, like, you know those very heavily customized racing cars that when they speed up, flames gonna just come from their exhaust ports? I was thinking that this guy could have something like that, so that's why I decided to add them, just to play with the whole concept of rage that this guy is based on. Once I finished drawing the dog, I focused on the robot mode. Now the robot mode wasn't as hard because I already knew how, you know, the beast mode looks, so I just had to translate it onto the robot mode. I actually had a couple of my Transformers Prime Beast Hunters figures like right next to me while I was doing this to give me an idea as to, okay, so when this guy transforms, this part should become the legs, this part should become the chest, the head goes here, the other heads go over there. Now when designing this guy, I could have just gone with the mindset of, you know, oh, this guy's just gonna be in the movie, so who cares if his, you know, transformation makes sense, because if you pay close attention to a lot of the Michael Bay transformations in the movies, some of them don't really make a lot of sense, like where some parts go, where some parts come from. But with this design, I decided to pay attention to like the placement of where things will go during transformation from beast mode to robot mode, because I was basically going in with the mindset of this being an actual toy that Hasbro will make. Like, how do I do this? How do I do that? The thing that gave me the most trouble was the head. I'm actually skipping the whole process with the head because I spent a lot of hours just looking for references on Google and like redesigning the head a couple of times, but I eventually came up with this head design that looks kind of demonic, and you know, he looks angry. That's what I was going after, and you know, as soon as I see this guy, I'm like, this guy's a demon and this guy's angry. That's exactly what I wanted. I made one of the heads basically fold into the chest, kind of having this Power Ranger Megazord kind of look, but I had no idea what to do with the other heads. I was thinking initially to like make them attached to the arms, like maybe they could be like, you know, giant blades, kind of like Sideswipe has, but then I got thinking and I was like, you know, this guy's gonna be a fighter. He's gonna be angry, he's gonna wanna fight people, so maybe it's best if I give him 4 arms in a weird kind of way. So I sort of turned his heads into like extra arms, like extra blades. I got inspired by the Fallen from Destiny. There are some that have like 4 arms and they carry blades on their back, so I decided to turn their heads into blades. Now you guys might be thinking, where do the blades come from? Well, we could say it's movie magic, and if we're gonna make this into a toy, you could just say that, hey, these are accessories that come with the figure, like like a lot of Transformers figures do, so there's that. I actually had a lot of fun doing the heads of the robot mode. I would admit that translating this design into a toy would be a little complicated, but I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be impossible. In terms of size, I didn't want this guy to be too big, because if we have each Infernocon be like this massive beast, the combiner mode of Infernocus is gonna look very weird in the end. All of the Infernocus are gonna be around the size they were in the movie, but a little taller. So, you know, almost as tall as Optimus Prime, each of them individually. With the exception of some, because, you know, making a Transformers combiner of 7 different characters is a bit difficult, so some of them are gonna have to be smaller than others. But since this guy is just the right arm, I think it's fine for him to be, you know, average size. Anyways, I began the coloring, and I didn't want to add too many different colors because when you're coloring your own characters, typically something that you will want to do is to keep the colors as minimal as possible. For the colors, I went with black and orange. These colors are used for the Infernocons in the Transformers The Last Night toyline. I think that's a pretty cool color scheme, and I'm gonna use black and orange for all of the Infernocons. That's gonna be the color they share because most combiner teams have a color that they share. So black and orange are gonna be the color they share, and I also went with a dark red, a somewhat grayish yellow, and a very dark orange red. Coloring this guy was probably the most fun I had while doing this whole thing. Like, just experimenting with different colors, just seeing what works, what doesn't work, had a lot of fun with it. And once I was done with the beast mode, I just moved on to working on the robot mode. I'm actually speeding up the footage a lot, and I'm sure you guys probably figured that out by now. I have like about 8 hours of me just drawing. I'm pretty sure you guys don't want a huge video of me just drawing and erasing some stuff over and over. So I speed up the footage a lot. And I'm cutting some of the details and some of the changes I made during the making of this guy. I did went back a few times and changed some things. So if you guys get confused as to why this guy looks different from, you know, time to time, it's because I went back and changed some things. But anyway, so I finished like coloring this guy, and I was pretty satisfied with the way he looked. I wanted to keep the colors kind of dull and muted, pretty dark, because I think that Infernocus should mostly be made up of dark colors, because, you know, these guys are supposed to kind of be demons, like, you know, beast transformers. After I was done with the robot mode, I moved on to the combiner part. This guy's the right arm, so I started working on, you know, making the beast mode kind of turn into, you know, Infernocus' right arm, which I actually had quite a bit of fun doing that. I decided pretty early on that I wanted to use the Cerberus heads to basically make them into arms. I love the idea of Abominus from the Transformers Prime Redesign storyline using Twin Strike's, you know, heads as this weird makeshift fingers. And since we have 3 heads and 2 extra limbs we can use, we can recreate the sense of this guy having fingers pretty well. So I sort of just played around with that and added the details from the beast mode to the arm to keep things consistent. For most combiner teams, when they transform to, you know, their combiner form, they usually, you know, the combiner is usually made up mostly of the individual components in their alternate modes. So for the Infernocons, I'm gonna do the same, you know, their beast modes are the parts that transform into, you know, the combiner parts. After I was done drawing over the rough sketch that I did, it was time to color. And since I already had the colors for the Cerberus beast mode, you know, already chosen, it was pretty easy to decide what colors go where. Now for this guy, I added like that combiner attachment thing that some of the Combiner Wars toys have. I know a lot of people don't like the way, you know, the Combiner Wars, you know, combiners combine with their, you know, attachment to the limbs, but I think it's, for the purposes of this character, it's a pretty good thing to have. It's a pretty good way to like make them combine. While I was doing the arm, I often went back to the beast mode and changed a few things just to keep things consistent, and I must have spent quite a few hours just erasing some things, only to redraw them and to be unsatisfied, and then to, you know, erase it again and redraw it again and just repeat until I was finally satisfied. But at the end, I came up with a design that, although it's not perfect, I think it looks way better than the individual Infernocons do. The problem with Infernocons is that they look mostly like generic protoforms with different heads, and I bet you that's what Michael Bay wanted and that's what they did to save on money, but that's just not really fun. But anyways, we're done with our first Infernocon, and here we have I haven't picked a name for this guy. Oh my god, what do I do now? Hey viewer, you go to the comments down below right now and tell me what should I name this guy. The name that I like the most is the name that I'm gonna use for this guy in the next video. Like, I will also feature your comment in the next videos. So yeah, that should be fun for you guys. Anyways, so I went back and made some of the colors a bit darker. As you guys can see, it looks a bit different from the footage of me drawing him, but I wanted to keep the red parts of him pretty bright because, you know, this guy is dangerous, that this guy wants drops blood. I kept the colors dark because, you know, since this guy's supposed to be evil and based off demons, I think it's best if he has some darker colors. The grayish yellow is kind of just there to, like, you know, complement the color so it's not all dark because too much of one thing can be bad for the design. Also, going back to what I mentioned before, I thought it would be pretty cool if this guy can just, you know, burst out flames from the holes that he has, like, around his limbs. Like, when he gets angry, like, fire just starts coming out of his body and off the blades, making it even more dangerous. And the same thing applies to his beast mode, which I think it looks a whole lot better in the beast mode, but hey, that's just me. He can also breathe fire because, you know, Grimlock can do it, Dragonstorm can do it. I don't see why the Infernocons shouldn't be able to do that as well. And then we have the combined right arm, which I honestly, I really like the way it ended up. Like, I was pretty scared of working on the combiner part because I wasn't sure how I was gonna do it, but overall I like it a lot. Also, the right arm heads can like throw fire, so you know, Infernocus can basically pull up Bruticus and follow Cybertron, and you know, makes him more dangerous, gives him some more uniqueness, makes him stand out, and it's a pretty fun gimmick to use in a battle against, like, say, Optimus Prime. But yeah, guys, here we have our first Infernocus, codename Rad. That's his code name for now. That's what I'm gonna call him for now. I still don't have an actual name for him. I'm leaving that up to you guys, but yeah, doing this guy took me about, I want to say 3 to 4 days, just designing his robot mode, his beast mode, and his arm mode. So if I start working on other Infernocons, don't expect me to like upload the next part of this series anytime soon. So give me at least a week's break from this, okay? The next Infernocons that I want to work with are an Infernocon based on Loss, which is obviously going to be a female. I'm not going to sexualize her, you weirdos. The Sin of Gluttony, Greed, Sloth, Envy, and Pride. So that's 6 more Infernocons. Oh god, that's going to be painful. But of course, that depends on the amount of support this video gets. So, you know, like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see me do more. What have I gotten myself into? But anyways, guys, before we go, shout out to our patrons Maurice Prime, Mateo, Mario Gordon, Christopher Prime, Stephanie Ballard, and the absolute madman himself, Jordan the Great, who donated $100. Thank you guys for donating, it's much appreciated. And if you guys want to donate to my Patreon, links in the video description down below and in the comments down below. By donating to my Patreon, you get access to some of my videos early. You can request your own videos, you receive a shout out at the end of my videos, you can participate in some of my videos if you so choose, and you get a few previews of some of my new works that are currently in development. There are plenty of rewards that you get as a result of becoming one of my patrons, and I do plan to adding a few more in the future as time goes on and the patrons grow, but keep in mind that donating is entirely optional, because freedom is the right of all sentient beings. Thank you to my patrons for donating, it's much appreciated. And if you guys want to donate, you know what to do. So yeah, thanks a lot guys. So that's it for this video guys, hopefully you'll enjoy. This is completely different from what I usually do, so I'm a bit worried that I spend all this time just, you know, working hard on this one drawing only for this video to like underperform. Hopefully it doesn't and you guys actually do like this and want to see me do more, hopefully, but you guys are pretty unpredictable, so who knows. If this video gets 1,000 likes, my brother is gonna do his very own first video on this channel. I'm not even kidding, Squeaker will make his own video, but only if you guys like this video and of course support me, so you know, make it happen. Or don't, you know, that's cool. I understand if you guys don't want a Squeaker video. So yeah, no fan art of the day, my brother couldn't be here today joke, just cause I'm probably gonna be spending a lot of time working on this, so I really don't want to add any more, you know, work to what I'm currently doing, so yeah, I'll do a next video. Anyways guys, that's it for now. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next episode, hopefully, where I continue my quest to redesign Infernocus. So, until next time, bye guys.